Hello and welcome to Lighten Up with Jen. I am your hostess, Jen. I'm very happy to be with you today. The topic today, which is music and laughter in love. This is a relationship kind of show. We're going to be talking a lot. I'm going to be bringing on a co-host with me, and I am looking forward to that conversation. But let me introduce myself and what this show is about. Lighten Up with Jen is all about taking a different perspective of life. Life happens, and sometimes life happening looks like new, exciting things, businesses, creation, family, all kinds of things. And then sometimes life looks like tragedy and surprise, death, and really some redoing of your life, restructuring your life, reprioritizing, as it were, and really taking a different approach. And that's what I have done. I had a radio show called Everyday Joy, and it was here on Blog Talk Radio, ran for a number of years, and loved the community, loved it all. And then I experienced a tragedy in my life when there was a car accident that took an entire branch of my family tree, my daughter and her beloved and their son and all of my granddogs. And that really changed my perspective on life. I took some time off. I went through the grief phase, which many of you have heard as I talked about what that was for me, what happened for me, how it changed me, and that's what grief does. And I've shared that openly, and I don't hide that at all. And as coming back to the air and wanting to start new, start fresh with a different perspective and share my different perspective very openly, that is what started Lighten Up with Jen. Because if there's one thing that I learned, it is that, unfortunately, many of us take life, myself included, very, very seriously. And we go into restriction and constriction, and we shut down smaller and smaller and smaller, trying to avoid some of the bigger events of life, like tragedy. There are many who kind of take the stance of, well, if I don't love that big, then when I lose, or if I lose, it won't hurt that big, or maybe if I don't take too big a risk, I can avoid having a big failure in my life. There are many different ways that we manipulate that, trying to avoid the bigness that we truly are and that life really can be. And so my intention is to share an invitation to lighten up. Go of what's holding you down. Let go of the burdens. Let go of the heaviness and really embrace the lightness and have as much fun with life as you possibly can. And part of having as much fun as you can in life is paying attention to who you hang out with, who you spend time with, your environment, the things in your environment, all of those that really do have an impact on the world that you're creating. You are in your world. You're in this environment you're creating. And if you're not paying attention to what's in that environment, what's contributing to that, then you might be actually contributing some toxins to what you're creating that might surprise you. And so today, talking about relationship and getting a little personal and transparent in my own life is talking about this topic of what do you do, what are you creating, and who's in your life. And I will be introducing you to somebody very dear to me in my life and talking with her about what that looks like. But one of the biggest things is music and laughter. We have my partner and I, Cheri. She will be joining me soon. But we have started something called Music and Laughter in Love. We do have a Facebook page that you can go to and like. And we are doing live events as well as online events that we are inviting you to. And it's all about just showing up, the two of us, how we are, and inviting others to really consider their life and what do they want to create, what is the perspective they want to have, and how can their own personal attributes contribute to that, because ours are music and laughter. That's just the two out of many that we chose for ourselves, and we will get into that more as the show goes on. But I want to ask you some questions before we get into that for you to consider in your own life. If you were to consider, if you were asked, what makes up who you are, what do you think the answers would be? What are the qualities or the attributes or the essence qualities, as I call them, that create who you are? Now, essence, from my perspective, is really what you come into life with. It's not something you're trained in. It's not something that you receive through going to school. Essence is always there. The qualities and attributes you're born with, the things you didn't have to learn. Now, you can increase upon them, but you didn't have to learn your essence qualities. They're just part of what makes you up. Many people have many different essence qualities, and essence qualities really are not something that you would consider, if you looked at it rationally, that you would consider judging. And yet, many people overlook the greatness of their own essence qualities when they are comparing theirs with somebody else's. For example, if you have an really strong essence quality of compassion and caring, maybe you have an essence that absolutely loves animals. You connect with animals. You might hear them. You might be able to understand them in ways that other people don't. And that can be part of your essence. That's what I'm talking about. What are your essence qualities? Because the guests that I'm bringing on, my co-hosts that I'm bringing on, we are going to be talking about our essence qualities a lot. But I don't want you to get lost in ours. The show is about really exploring your own. Yes, we're going to be talking about ours, but there's also a very big invitation for you to get very curious about your own essence qualities and what they are. Do you have an essence that loves to laugh? Do you have an essence that is very thought-oriented, that you just love to analyze things? You're kind of an Einstein. You love to mull around an idea and study philosophies and consider things. Do you have an essence quality that's really drawn to nature? Do you have an essence quality that perhaps you maybe really are focused on family and that family dynamic and children and raising children and having children and encouraging other people's children and teaching children? You know, that, like, there's a lot that comes into this topic. And my invitation to you throughout this entire show is to really be curious about your own essence qualities, what that looks like, what that means for you. If you are a Facebook person, you are more than welcome to share the link to the show, and perhaps it'll inspire some conversations about your essence and the essence of your loved ones. So thank you for all of that. And I am now going to bring on my co-host, Cheri, to the air and introduce you all to this topic of music and laughter and what does it mean and where are we going with it. Cheri is a dear friend of mine. We met years ago and we're instant friends. We had a crazy quirkiness about us. We have a lot of curiosity and playfulness in us, and so we connected easily, very easily, and became instant friends from the moment we were introduced. And so we have been friends for quite a while. We have explored a lot of conversations and dialogue together as we were friends for years. And I have a lot of friends who I shared this kind of curiosity with. It's part of my essence, like I was speaking of earlier, is that I have a curiosity for life. That's one of my essence qualities, is I'm very curious. I'm very curious about people. I love people watching. I love watching people, listening to their conversations, listening to their beliefs, observing how they show up in their life and what they create from that space. It is something that I am very passionate about. And as I have gone through life, I am more and more entertained by what it is that we do as human beings in this life experience. A lot of times we are trained to be curious about something so we can assess it, so we can come to conclusions about it. So in science class, they would have you take on a project, and all you're supposed to do is observe it and make notes. There is a word for that, but I can't think about what that word is at this very moment. But observe that, process that's happening, and make notes about it, and that's all there is. And so as I have gone through life, that was always my favorite part of life, is observing and just making note of it. Now, if you are in the mindset to come to conclusion, please understand that once you come to a conclusion, you have limited what it is that you are creating. You've limited the observation. Coming to a conclusion creates an end point of that observation. And it truly does not give room for expansion. Because this is a relationship conversation, well, it's supposed to be anyway, there is also this factor in relationships. Sometimes we meet somebody and we're curious about them and we want to get to know them better, and we engage in relationship with them. We engage in getting to know them better. We engage in intimacy. We engage in many different ways of relating to another person. Unfortunately, what many of us do, and what society just somehow has entrained us into doing, is we go to conclusion in those relationships. We come to conclusion about who somebody is and who they should be and who we can expect them to be from there on out. And the truth is that does not serve. It limits the expansion of that person. It really limits the opportunity for change to happen within that relationship, within that dynamic. And unfortunately, that can really limit the relationships. There are many people I've spoken to that have talked about how when they first got together with, their spouse or their partner, or whatever they see their relationship as, they will talk about how fun their relationship was in the beginning, how dynamic, how much play, how much travel, how much, we used to go dancing, we used to do this, we used to do that. And quite often it becomes a past tense experience. And sadly, this is very common for people to feel that they have lost their contact and their curiosity in their relationship. And yet we always have the opportunity to shift that. Cheri, I hope you come on the show. Hi, I think it worked. Are you there?
I hear a beep. Are you there?
Yes.
There? Oh my God!
Hi.
It worked. Hi there.
It worked. I hear a beep. That's so cute.
I know.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. This is the first time for me.
I know. Oh, there's a virgin thing going on then. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right, so we're going to actually get on topic instead of dealing with all the glitches. Yes. Welcome to Lighten Up with Jen, and I'm so excited to be introducing Music and Laughter in Love specifically as we talk about relationship dynamics. So I just want to acknowledge this is not a mild thing. I don't know if many people understand how scary it can be to step in and be visible in this way. And so I want to thank you, my dear, for joining me and choosing into this adventure with me and becoming visible by my side.
Absolutely. No other place I'd want to be.
Yay. So everybody, this is Cheri. Say hi to the people.
Hello, peoples. Hello, everybody, everywhere.
Oh, we have, since for some reason the chat is also funky, but I actually am getting Facebook messages saying, hi, Cheri, yay, it's good to have you.
Hello. Well, all I can do is just sit here on the telephone. I can't get on my computer because, I thought I was, okay, I'd go to the chat room so we could talk. And if I couldn't get through the phone line, so that's not going to work. I'm just going to sit here, right here, and look out the window while we talk. So hello, everybody.
Oh, I like it. Yay. Well, I would love to introduce you. For most people know me, but I will do a little brief thing about myself. I'm a life coach, radio show host, speaker. I do improv comedy. I do all kinds of different things. But so that's a little bit about me. But Cheri, you are a combination that is pretty exciting. So let's first have you introduce in a brief but understandable way. What is it that you do as a healer specifically in your profession? What kind of body work do you do?
Thank you. I actually have been a body worker, which means some people don't know what that means. And I went to massage therapy school and fell in love with craniosacral therapy, which is a very gentle modality. So I've been in practice 23 years, helping people all the way from infants to very older people, seniors. So I do craniosacral therapy. I see lots of changes in people from what it helps with is any kind of central nervous system disorder or just to feel better. You know, those types of people that are type A, I'm sure there's none of us out there, as I used to be one of those. You know, I got the gold star for that. But it helps us slow down and slow our central nervous system down. One of the most favorite things I like to do in my practice is I get to work on babies very early ages, sometimes hours old, sometimes days old, in helping their body neurologically get up to speed in the outside world. That could include latching issues to colicky, to sleep patterns, to a fast birth. So it's a very, very gentle technique that I love so much. So that's my business side of things. I could talk probably for 4 hours on just about that.
Yes, you could. And someday we will be sharing some of those conversations about that. But that's more to come. This will be fun.
Okay.
Yes.
This is a teaser.
It is a teaser, and then we're going to get straight into the full-on introduction. So it's very good. But first, I want to talk about another part of you, and that is the music.
Yes.
so how would you introduce your relationship, your dynamic with music?
Music was a big part of my growing up and childhood. We were around music all the time as kids. And at a very early age, 7 or 8, my oldest brother went into Vietnam, and he, you know, one of my brothers got all the Boy Scout stuff, and I got to take care of my brother Gary's guitar. It was electric guitar, the coolest little thing from the Sears and Roebuck catalog. And so I got to have this guitar, and at the same time, my sister was dating a guy that was in a band, so I'd take my little tape recorder to all his gigs and press record and listen to him play. And he showed me one basic chord and said, you can take this chord and find it anywhere on the neck of your guitar. And I was like, very cool. So I started learning bar chords at a very young age, and it just evolved. Listening to John Denver, learning more chords, I basically taught myself. And it was, for me, music was an escape. I think it is for a lot of us. But for me, growing up, you know, divorced parents, it really got me through a lot of my adolescent and teenage years. And it's taken a lot. It has helped my life in so many ways because it gave me a way to express myself through my music and words and poetry. So I'm very thankful that it came to me very easily, I guess, and it's just a very natural thing for me to just pick up my guitar and play. It always has been.
Yeah, it is. And as we got the feedback after a live event we did recently, that it is almost just an extension. It's actual appendage of you. It's not something awkward. It's not even something you do. It's part of your being. And it is truly amazing. And I'm lucky because I get to witness it so much, but I love that. To me, my experience is that when you go into that healer mode, you go into session and you are listening to the body and you are doing the work that releases tension or whatever it is that the body is going through. It's almost like the same thing happens with the guitar. You lay your hands on the guitar and you release the message or the vibration that wants to come through the guitar to, you know, inspire the emotion that's in the room or inspire the movement or the dance or whatever that is. And both are so natural and fluid that I believe that that's what I call essence. When it's so natural, it is so just a part of who you be when you're not trying to do anything, that it's truly magical and amazing. So thank you for sharing your gifts with the world.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I notice I get kind of little with you.
You get little with me? I think I get little. I'm just a dork. I really am. I think that's one of my qualities, you know. I'm a little bit dorky. But
Actually,
okay.
that's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. We both have this like dork side to ourselves, and they're very different. So we both are. I don't want to like say we're same matchy, even though we kind of are. But I get dorky in my own way. For example, it was even before we met, I kind of had this little signature dorkiness about me, and that was that when I lived in colder climates, I would wear flannel pajamas. So I'd have like these plaid flannel pajamas, and then I would throw on a tank top or a T-shirt or something, and then I would get cold, so I would go and I would grab the most comfortable thing that was available, and it would be another like plaid button-up dress shirt. And usually the plaid doesn't match, I'm just saying. Yeah. And
that would be too easy.
Yeah, that'd be boring. Like, I don't want a matchy outfit. So I would put these on, and then a lot of times, even if it was cold, I would want to put on some shoes and go out on the porch, or, you know, put on shoes and run over and have coffee with a friend. And so I would have that lovely ensemble that I was already sporting beautifully, and I would step into the easiest shoes I had possible, which were my cowboy boots, and off I would go into the world. So that evolved into some plaid board shorts that I have, and I would just step into my boots and walk out and do whatever I need to do with the animals, or, you know, just seeing the world, whatever it was. And that was always something that was so, people would just roar laughing with me and at me, to be honest, because they would think that I, you know, might be embarrassed. They didn't know that I would give them a fashion show then. You know, that's an invitation to do the parade wave at that point, but because I just didn't care. And I noticed that when we got to be friends, there were actually some very specific photos I saw of you, either on Facebook or that you would send me in a text message, and I would think to myself, oh my God, she might be more fabulous than me. You
I don't know.
Even better than me.
I think my favorite outfit, go ahead.
No, and that's one of the things that I love about you. So what's your favorite outfit? Please share with the people.
My favorite outfit of yours is the plaid shorts, of course, with the cowboy boots, and, you know, the blue and gray plaid men's flannel shirt kind of thing that you have around here. And mind you, the plaid shorts are your, you know, signature turquoise plaid and black and white shorts, and you know, I think that's my favorite.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and we do have something in common. We both like the plaid shirt, but then we also kind of have this like draw to tie-dye, and we're not afraid to let tie-dye and plaid play together.
No, never. I mean, never. It's a must, you know. I thought they always went together. Right. So I have a question for you.
Outfit. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I have a question for you.
Nervous.
Oh, good. Okay. So it just popped in my head. So have you always been this way, that you don't really care when you put on comfortable clothes, you don't really care what everybody else thinks? Has it always been that natural for you to pick the most comfortable thing to wear?
Oh, no. 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 All right. So a little thing about me is I come from a wonderful ancestry that gives me really, really, really white skin. Like, I'm so white that I'm blue a lot of times. And I can go and I can lay on the beach for a week solid, and I will be extremely red, and I will peel. And when I peel, what most people would think is a year-old tan line will be the magnificent tan that I have achieved, and it's horrible. So I don't spend a lot of time in the sun, actually, because I do burn, and I'm very sensitive to the heat. So growing up in the 80s, because I was a little cowgirl in the 80s, I would wear those painted on Levi Strauss and Wrangler pants all year round. I was not one of those girls that when summer came around, I would throw on the shorts and the whatever. No, I just couldn't do that. Like, it was not fun for me to lay on the trampoline with baby oil because what? I'm going to blister now? Like, to me, I was like, this is stupid. No, I'm not doing this. So I just wore my jeans year round. So I hid my body even from a young age because I didn't like my skin. I'm like, dude, that's so silly now. And then as I got into being, 20s, even into my 30s, I was very much part of a culture and a group that appearance was very important. And so I had different enough Sunday dresses that I would rotate through them. I did not repeat them very often. I was very careful. In fact, my kids used to harass me because I would never go to the store without full makeup on, including lipstick, mind you, including the lipstick. Luckily, I had long hair, so if there was a bad hair day or if maybe I had not gotten my hair done for the day, I could throw on a ball cap with a ponytail pulled through the back. But you got to understand, it was the perfect ponytail. It wasn't a messy pony. It was the perfect ponytail. And so, no, I have not been this way. In fact, I would say it took me probably to 2007-ish is when I started going, why do I care what they think of me? Wait a minute. Am I comfortable? I really started paying attention. So that's when kind of I quit caring about the image thing. What about you? Have you always been this free to be you in appearance?
No. Growing up, I too kind of hid my body. I was major tomboy, and all the way from early childhood. I remember going in the first grade, and I was so excited to be in school, and I had I was a little towhead kid, short hair, and I go into the girls' restroom, and I got kicked out of going to the girls' restroom because they thought I was a little boy. So that really that kind of made me scared about how I looked. I think that's when it started, and just growing out of that and how I would hide my body with bigger clothes or try and dress. I never was a big makeup person. I probably started wearing makeup in the last when I have gigs and stuff. I put on a little makeup, but it was never really my thing. And I don't know. Can't put my finger on when my image changed. I guess if I think about it, here it's coming to me. Probably in 2003 maybe. I went to a personal growth seminar up in Chicago. It really changed my life because it gave me more of an acceptance of my body image and who I was, and it really did some major personal work. And so I started changing, my clothing started changing. I was always an athlete, but I started wearing clothes, and now I don't care. I don't care what people say. I really don't. I mean, I do care, but I want to be comfortable. And, like you, I love going to garage sales and buying that male shirt that's flannel, that's big on me, that's kind of like my sweatshirts that I like to wear around the house. And sometimes I go into town and not take them off. And, I like this on. I look like this. I mean, I'm that comfortable now. And I think for everybody, I can't speak for everybody, but I just wonder how many people out there have had that same kind of process from childhood to adulthood of, when did their body image change? When do they still care? If they do care, what's that about? It's just things to think about.
Right. And actually, I have a message from somebody who is messaging me on Facebook who said, oh my gosh, I got kicked out of the bathroom too for being in the wrong one. And she said, I'm so glad I'm not the only one. And how interesting that is. In fact, in fourth grade, when I moved into a new neighborhood where I would end up going all through my high school years and everything, who became my best friend said, I remember you the very first day. Your hair was so short, I thought you were a boy. Like, that's her first thing is like, bam, like that gender identity, and that opens a can of worms we're not going to dive into, but that gender identity is so strong of, oh, that must be a boy, oh, that must be a girl, whatever, and how we start dressing according to that, or
exactly.
you know, adjusting our image, and how people assess us and how people approach us according to that. And you know, I've got a sister, I'm telling you what, my sister can walk into, you know, like the trashiest secondhand store, and I would walk in, spend 3 hours, and walk out with nothing that I thought had anything that I would ever like be able to work with to make something appealing out of. She would walk out with 3 bags from the same damn store in 30 minutes and be so ecstatic and be like, oh, look what we can do with this. And I don't have that, but she does. So part of her essence is being able to turn that and create something out of, you know, really what looks like a bunch of crap to me. She can make it beautiful. To me, I'm more about the comfort. Like, she's like, oh, I'm willing to pay a price for fashion. I'm like, not me. Like, I used to wear high heels, 4-inch, 3 and 4-inch heels. And now you've seen me. I'm like, I'll put on these heels. I'm like, this is really great. These are Oprah shoes. That means I carry them to the stage. I put them on, sit my ass down, and then I take them off when I leave the stage. Like, these are the only thing these are for. And I know that, where in the past I would wear them because they looked good and then later pay the price. And my feet really have paid the price. And so I think there's some of that goes on. And what I love is we have just done, Cheri, we have just done what we were going to try to explain that we do. So
I know. Okay, go ahead.
So here's what is very natural for Cheri and I. That conversation that just took place where she asked a question, I asked a question, and it opened up this exploration about body image, about gender identity, about are we more interested in being comfortable or looking good, and all of that unfolded is very naturally, which is why we are starting something where we are going to be doing this more and more, and we're going to be doing it through video. We are going to be doing it through some of the radio shows here on Lighten Up with Jen, where we have a very casual conversation about a topic that has gotten our attention. You see, in our personal life at home, we get up every day and we start the day by sharing coffee with each other. And we don't, you know, we may check in with Facebook or email or, you know, look at our schedules for clients, that kind of thing. But we talk. Let me say that again. We actually talk. And we talk about what's come to our awareness. Like, is there maybe an article or maybe a story or something that got our attention? And we will talk curiously, without judgment. We will talk about what that means to us, what we find curious about that, what we see in it. Maybe we'll talk about our judgment about it. Maybe we'll talk about, wow, I used to have this, and maybe we'll explore opening up from the judgment into curiosity. But we do this innately, and we have gotten a lot of feedback that people are very curious. People are very interested in having more conversations in their own lives, and that somehow we inspire that in others. And so we are actually starting a new forum where we will be sharing our conversations and inviting people to engage about those topics. In a public way, though, instead of just on the couch. And so we actually have started a YouTube channel where we will be uploading these video conversations, and then we do live events called Laughter and Music, where we show up and we talk about these stories and conversations and share our perspective, and we do it with music involved, which we'll explain more in a little bit. But that's what this is about. We're kind of coming out as being visible and sharing it is kind of an intimate look into our personal life, but we're doing it as a way to hopefully inspire more conversations. How would you explain it? I have a feeling you have a different way of saying that people will hear differently.
Well, I think that what you said was great, but I think for what happens for us when we are having coffee and we bring an article or a topic up to talk about it, what happens is this beautiful intimate conversation about our own personal views about a particular topic or article and sharing the insights, and it gives, I know the things that we've shared, it's given me a different way of looking at it, or the ability for me to share my own perspective in a very nurturing, space-holding environment. And I think for a lot of people, and myself included, that space, that allowance of space is just huge. And I think it's helped me grow as a person. Things I didn't really think about, or things that I did think about and share with you. Have you ever thought of this? So it inspires me to have a different way of thinking, or it inspires me to speak up and say, well, I don't agree with that. It's not always about agreeing or disagreeing, but that space to just explore the possibilities. And you know, just like the feedback that person sent in, gosh, I'm glad there's somebody else out there that happened to as well. I think as we share stories, people can relate to it because that happened to them. I never knew there was another person, you know, that kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely. You know, there's something in this dynamic about really listening in and exploring that I love. I love having conversations. I know it's not too surprising for those who know me personally, but for the rest of the world, guess what? I like to talk, but I love to listen. I love to listen to somebody, and because of my gifts and abilities, what happens for me is when they're telling their perspective, I have this way of witnessing how they see the world, and witnessing how they see the world maybe because of an old perspective. Maybe it's an implant in their psychology from family dynamics. Maybe it's a lie they've picked up along the way. Maybe it's a self-judgment they have. Or maybe it's this aha, this awareness, this spiritual awakening, this understanding of maybe science or dynamics or whatever it is. And I have a way of witnessing that. And in our conversations, I have not just been the observer. I have found myself being willing to share openly, vulnerably, and be observed as well. And for those of you who hide behind being inquisitive, that's part of what we're sharing, is the willingness to answer the questions ourselves when we're used to hiding behind the questions.
That is good.
And yeah, that feels important. That's part of the invitation, is to be willing to show up in a way that you can really get used to asking, but also answering. And to me, that's really important for us and our dynamic. As you know, going from friendship into intimate relationship, we went through a lot of what, wait, no, yes, oh, I don't know, wait, what the hell, no, you know, yay, maybe, you know. And this has been something that I would say, I don't think it fit under the category of easy. And yet we've received feedback that it looks like it was really easy for us to go from friendship into intimate relationship. And so I have a question for both of us, and that is, what was the most surprising thing that we went through together, going from that friendship into intimacy, that came from this willingness to communicate? What is it that we kind of walked through that surprised us the most? Because I have a lot of people who have assumptions about that. I will go first so you kind of know where I'm coming from with this, and what this triggered in me is I discovered how much I didn't trust true intimate relationship. And intimate, I'm not talking about sex, just so people know. Intimate is that vulnerability of showing up and being willing to let people see into me, my heart, my soul, my mind, my weirdness, my brilliance, all of it. Show up, no filters, no hiding curtains, nothing. Just show up completely vulnerable. For me, I was surprised by how much I didn't trust relationships as just kind of as a whole, but also how afraid I was to be powerful as a couple.
Mm.
I really had to step through that visibility because you and I have experienced since the very first time we ever sat down to have coffee, and did not know each other than we had been introduced, and we knew we loved music. That was it. We get attention. People notice us and would, come up and, oh, you guys are having so much fun. And people come up and tell us their stories, or they join in, or they just pull up a damn chair sometimes like, I don't know what y'all are talking about, but you're fun. I'm going to join you, And to really not put significance or judgment on that level of being attractive, so to speak, where people are attracted to us, to engage with us, whether it's in the line at Walmart or at a restaurant or whatever it is, to be that attractive that people want to engage with us. I really had some discomfort with that. And you helped me through your own discomfort with it and through us being willing to show up to really not put a significance on it, not put a label on it, and to just let it be what it was and let other people have their own experience of it. And so I would say that's one of the biggest things for me that I have actively faced into so that you and I could be on the show together today.
Wow. That was very well done, of course. I guess for me, and thank you, is my biggest surprise is through all the friendship and the connection that we had and letting that go a long time ago and you showing up, I was just totally, my biggest surprise is how wide open I was of how much I let go of. And it was a surprise to me that I'm like, oh, we're going to take this to a new level. Just, I guess my curiosity was my biggest surprise. The curiosity and wonder. And I think for me, I felt like Dora the Explorer. I don't know, that just popped into my head. I was just very inquisitive and very strong. I was in a place of a lot of strength when you came back into my life, and the exploration of where, yeah, I could say trust was an issue for me. Yes, that is and was a big issue of trusting. But I think I just let go of a lot of expectations and was undefined when you came back in my life. And I didn't have expectations. And I believe also this visibility thing, I was very nervous when you asked me to be on the show. And I think it goes back to that conversation we had earlier of the visibility and what people's perceptions are. And together, when we are together and out in public, the dynamic of the people around us and what we attract, and really paying attention to that, because I think in our own separate ways and together we have a lot to offer people, and people are attracted to that, and not putting a significance on it. It's like, let's just have a conversation and see what comes up. And you never know. Mm-hmm. You never know. And that's happened numerous times when we've been out in public. It just happened Saturday night with this guy that came and sat and talked to us for 30 minutes. You guys are going to change things. Well, we can buy into, oh, yeah, we've got to be the change. And it's like, well, how can we be out here that we can create change?
Right. And what I love about you and myself is that we have a way of not making that make us any better than anybody else. Like, when we did some live events, Music and Laughter in Utah, and, I'm not gonna lie, we had the hair, we had the makeup, we had the look, we knew exactly what boots we were gonna, have on. We cared about the appearance because we were kind of in that gig mode. But the truth of the matter is we weren't any more important than anybody sitting in the audience listening to our stories and songs. And that is the biggest invitation, is we are not more important, but we're willing to show up and invite you to just show up in your life in whatever way fills you up the most. Like, we have a dream of really, we do write songs together, we write music, you write the music, you do beautiful music, and we put words to stories. We find a story, we pull the words out of it that will create the song. And the way we see it, the way we experience it, is the story is kind of like the first hill at the roller coaster, where it's click, 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 click. And the story, we tell the story and it takes them up the hill. And right when you get to that high point, that precipice of the emotion, and right when you're ready to wonder what's going to happen next, that's where the song comes in. And the song is the ride through the twists and turns and curves and the adrenaline, even to the stop of the rest of that experience. And that's what Music and Laughter, the live events, are about. But it's also what our daily life is about. We are both really committed. Seems like a heavy word. That's interesting. We're committed. We have clear intentions that we follow through with whatever comes up. It doesn't matter if it's a disagreement or if it's a joke or whatever, we follow it all the way through. And to me, that's kind of part of what our invitation is. And why? It's not that we're more important. It's, for heaven's sakes, one of the labels I don't want is that perfect couple. Yeah. Because what is that exactly? That's according to somebody's judgment. We are not better than, but we are willing to show up and in that intimate vulnerability say, this is who we are. Whether you judge us, whether you hate us, whether you gossip about us, whether you cheer us on, whether you join us for dinner, it does not change who we are. We are who we are, and we're going to continue growing, expanding together. And our invitation is that hopefully we can inspire some more of that in you. Is there anything you want to add to that?
No, I think you hit it on the head with, in our daily conversation, what it evokes is the intimacy and vulnerability and our willingness to, you say, show up, to be in that space of our own intimacy and own vulnerability, and that evokes that in the other, that the willingness to share, and it's about communication. And that's what I invite people to experience with us. That's what I want. That's what I would invite people to experience, is the more you show up in your intimacy and vulnerability, the expansiveness you'll feel. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Because, and just so you know, there's a little disclaimer here. Just because you fall in love, just because you get vulnerable, just because you're willing to be curious, just because of all those things does not mean that everything is going to always go exactly, quote, smoothly. It doesn't mean you don't have bills to pay. It doesn't mean you don't have health concerns. It doesn't mean you're going to whatever. There's no guarantee in it, but it is a different way of going through what life sends your way. Mm-hmm. Because we've had a few hiccups.
Yes, and those are next time.
Yes, exactly.
We'll say those are next time.
Next time. And so that is our invitation. So here we are showing up. There's a YouTube channel, Music and Laughter. There's a Facebook page, Music and Laughter and Love. We would love to have you go follow. As we wrap up here, because we've only got a few minutes left, is there anything you want to say, Cheri? I'm going to share your website, so if you have to hop off, because you do have clients and stuff happening, but is there anything you'd like to share before we wrap up the show?
I just appreciate your invitation to have me show up with you today, so I appreciate it very much, and thank you. And thank you, people that called in and listened and shared with us today. So,
yeah, absolutely. And you're welcome. Thank you so much. For those of you who are listening, if you have a question, if there's a certain topic that you want us to explore, it doesn't matter if it's on one of our YouTube videos or on an upcoming show, we would love to hear about it from you. We would really love to talk about topics. And what happens is we had an opportunity where an article came our way, a list of questions, New York Times and then the Elephant Journal, and it was shared, and it was this 36 questions that'll make you fall in love with your spouse all over again, blah, blah, blah. And we were like, okay. And even my sister said, oh, my husband and I did it. It was great. You guys ought to do it. You'd have so much fun. And we did eventually get around to doing that. And we realized that that's what we do every day. And we talk about the articles that come our way and that people send us an article or a story and ask, what do you think about this? And we're inviting you to do that. You can email us if you have an article, if you have a book, if you have a topic that you'd like us particularly to share our conversation about. Don't be afraid to email it to us. You can email us at musicandlaughterinlove@gmail. So the Facebook page and our Gmail account is musicandlaughterinlove. And we would love to hear from you because we want to explore more. We want to learn more. We have not reached the pinnacle of, all of our understanding. No, we want more expansion, more growth. We want to lighten up more. We want to let go of more of our limitations. And so please help us by sharing those things. If you want to learn more about Cheri and what she offers clients and more about her website is bodywisehealthcare.com. And if you want to learn more about me, Jen, it is everydayessence.com. And you can really we're here to be visible. We realized a while ago that the old instinct would have been for us to go small. Remember those days when we would actually feel like hiding, honey?
Yeah.
And we would go small, and we wouldn't want to create waves, and we wouldn't want to, really contribute to gossip, and we wouldn't want all those things. And we realized that's an old pattern. That's an old pattern of us playing small in our lives, and we are not willing to do it, and we are not going away. We are here to live our lives. And if that makes somebody else uncomfortable, that is something for us to look at and for them to address, but we aren't going to go waste for other people's comfort because that would mean that we're limiting our life individually and as a couple. And we just don't want to do that. So here we are. We're just here to explore life visibly. And so we invite you to play along with us, to connect with us, show up with us. If you have questions, share it with us. This is a brave thing to do. So congratulations. We might need capes for this adventure, Cheri.
Well, I have a pretty blue one.
Yes, you do. And so stay tuned because we are as quirky as we said. We're not afraid to show up that way. And so thank you so much, my dear, for joining me on the air. And we will do this again real, real soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. And to all of you who are listening, thank you for being here. We made it through. So thank you so much for joining me for this wonderful show. And welcome to Music and Laughter in Love. How does it get any better than this? And what should we talk about next? Stay tuned. Watch for the next show. It is coming very soon, and so are our videos. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.